Hello everyone, Long Ago Ego here. My name is Jeffrey, and today we're going to take a look at the rules for Icky, one of my favorite games. It was a Kickstarter, so I got in on it early and almost exclusively because for a long time it wasn't available. And we're going to start by looking at the board. It does take up a lot of space because there are a lot of components, especially cards that need to be displayed. So let's get started. In this game, we are trying to get victory points in a multitude of ways, and that is tracked on the outside victory point track. Runs all the way around the outside. Some points are given to you in-game, but there are a lot of bonus points that happen at the end of the game. So you're never quite sure where you stand in relationship to the others. Now it's a 4-player game. We have blue, yellow, purple, and red players. Here we have the turn track. There are 12 regular turns and a 13th bonus round. The regular turns are divided into seasons, and each season has 3 months. There's spring, summer, autumn, and winter. At the end of each season, there is a feed your shopkeeper's action. Okay, so that happens once, twice, 3 times, and 4 times. There are also 3 months in which we have fires that get started. They happen in the 5th month when you have to be able to, in order to fight it, you have to have a level of 5 on the fire track. In the 8th month, you have to have a level of 8 on the fire track. And in the 11th month, you have to have a level of 10 to successfully fight the fire. Now, the fire track is over here. It goes from starting up to 10. Starting is 0. And this is a symbol for getting a fire token that moves you up 1 space on the fire track. Now, the fire track is used for fighting the fires, but it's also used to determine who goes first. Now, the person higher number on the fire track gets to choose first down here on the your turn track. Now, when you are first, first player would then take their token from the holding area and then decide they're going to play it on the first space, in which you can move 1 to 4 spaces, but don't get a benefit. In the move 1 space area, the 2 space area, the 3 space area, or the 4 space area. Now, if you want to go further, you'd be over here at 4. Less far, maybe a 1 or a 2. But whoever is leftmost goes first. So the fire track is to determine who goes first in determining what action they want to take in terms of distance, but the person to the leftmost gets to go first. Now, movement is counterclockwise. So this is just a holding area before we start. After that, you're always on this track. So you would move 1 space or move 1, 2 spaces. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 movements in order to make a full round. And then you would continue around. Okay. Now, in each space that you could move to, there are the chance that there might be 2 shops there. Now, you always get to have this option to take that action. We'll talk more about that specifically later. If there's a shop here, for example, here's a shop, 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 shop. In addition to taking this, you may take this as well. If there's 2, you'd get the option of either one. If there are 2 shops here, you could do this one or you could do this one. And that would be, it's not a good. So here you would get a rice bale, here you would get 2 money. So you can do this, or you can do and, or you could do those. It's up to you. Okay, we'll talk more about that later. At the beginning of the game, the players, in this case we have 4 players, decide who's going to go first, second, third, and fourth in selecting where they want to place their token on the movement track. These tell you how far you're going to move on your turn. Now, you also get 4 shopkeepers in your color. You get 4 single monies, and you get 1 money that is 4. They don't go in 5s, they go in 4s. So it's either 1 money or 4 money. Okay. You also get 1 bale of rice. Rice is needed to feed your shopkeepers at the end of each season. Now, rice can always be used, also be used to barter for other things, sold or bartered. You also get 1 pair of sandals. Sandals allow you to move an extra space, which can be very, very beneficial. Now, those can also be bartered for other things, used or bartered. Now, after you've decided what position you're going to take on here, then this person is first to take their moves. Okay. Now, as I said, after this initial getting started period, then the player who is first in the holding area and gets to choose first is a person furthest towards the end on the fire track. Now, if he got 1, he got 3 in the first round, he got 1. Okay, now he would go first. Blue is on top. Okay, if he's already there and you also get 1, you would move up. So whoever's on top would go before the person on the bottom. So it'd be first, blue second, red third, and purple hasn't gotten any, so he would be fourth in terms of selecting what your movement is. Now, the person who chooses X, X means you may move 1, 2, 3, or 4. However, if you're in this position, you do not get the choice of in addition to moving, getting 4 money or selecting a shop card. Now, if you select a shop card, you must place it on the board and have a shopkeeper to take care of that shop. More on that later. Now, there are 4 sets of shop cards for each of the 4 seasons. However, at the beginning of the game, there are 4 special cards. Now, in the turn order here, don't remember what it was. Oh, maybe it's the same as that. So purple, blue, yellow, and red. Maybe that's what it was. Now, by the way, these are your owners who are going to walk around the Nihonbashi checking up on your own shops as well as your competitors' shops and doing trades and whatnot. This is your player piece. And we have 2 types. We have the male player pieces and we have the female player pieces. Now, there's an advantage to going first in the first round because it hasn't been earned by having fire tokens on the fire track. So, because there's an advantage to going first, the last person gets a choice of one of these free. Notice it doesn't have any cost. And it has a different back. It has a plain back, not a seasonal back. Now, everyone, before anybody plays, before anyone moves, the last person gets to select one of these and then place it wherever they want on the board. Now, that's important because it may influence where the first player wants to go. So if there's very tempting shops in the first movement space, he may want to take one. If that shop that he wants to go to is in space number 3, he would want to take 3. Okay, so these are important. And we will talk about those in a minute. Okay, so before the game starts, you get your money, you get your rice bill, you get your sandals, you get your shopkeepers. Position on the select a movement is done. The last person gets to select one of these cards first and place it. Then the next select person of the remaining 3 gets to select one and place it, and going until this one. At that point, you're ready to start. And if there's anybody here, they go first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Let's say that the blue player selected the eyeglass peddler as his free card and placed it in the second position of the number 2 movement. And that the yellow player picked the cotton peddler and placed it in the 3rd position of the first movement. Now, at the bottom, there are 3 positions, as there are 3 positions here. You put your shopkeeper on the first position. Now, let's say that the red player selected 1 space movement and he went first. So his movement is 1. Now, if there's a shop at either one of these places, he may take that. But he first looks at whether he wants to do this action here. Now he has 8 money, a 4 money coin, and 4 1 money coins. So he's going to pay 2 of those money to get 2 extra sandals. And he would put the sandals in his treasure chest. Of course, this money goes to the bank. Okay, after he's done this action, or before, he can do this action. Now, the top area here is what he would get to do with the shopkeeper. So the cotton peddler, if he does some trading with him, he would get a sandal and 1 money coin. Okay, so he spent 2 coins to get 2 sandals. Now he's going to get 1 coin back and pick up another sandal. So for him, landing here cost him 1 money to get 3 sandals. So he has 3 free movements later on another turn, and it's only cost him actually 1 money. Okay. Now, let's say the blue player selected the 2 movement space action, so he would go 1, 2. Now, the first thing we say here is that he can spend 3 money, comes out of his treasure chest, goes to the bank, 3 money, and he's going to get 2 rice. Okay, so he's working on being able to feed his shopkeepers. Oh, forgot to do something. Okay, when the red player traded with this person, this shopkeeper moves up 1 space. Now, at the end of each season, the shopkeeper, the player, gets wherever the shopkeeper is here. If he is still here, he would get 1 sandal. If he's here, he gets 1 sandal. If he made it here, he gets 1 sandal and 1 coin. So the red player did a trade for sandals and coins, so the shopkeeper moves up in experience, 1 space. Okay, now, the blue player he spent this 3 money to get 2 rice. Okay, now he's going to trade with his own shopkeeper and get 2 money back, but because it's his own shop, he does not move forward on this track. So at the end of the season, he would get 1 money. If he moves here, he'd get 2 money. If he moves here, he gets 2 money. Now, after someone has gone here, and then someone comes and trades 1 more time, he moves off. So then the card goes into your treasure chest, and every time it's the end of the season or the end of the game, you would get 1 sandal and 1 coin. So the very last point, when you get a retired card, that goes into your end game scoring. Now, the shopkeeper goes back to you to be used again. You only have 4 shopkeepers, so you can only have 4 shops on the board at a time. On the Nihonbashi, there are a lot of shops. As we've already seen, if you trade here, you would trade 2 money to get 2 sandals. If you traded here, you'd give 3 money to get 2 rice bales. If you come here, you get to move 1 space on the fire track. If you come here, this is a special kind of a spot because you actually have tokens. Now, this is mostly for end game scoring. Now, if you have one pipe, then you can score. And there are 4 pipes. These always stay on the board until they're selected by a player. Now, you may do one of these things. You may pick a pipe or a tobacco pouch. There's a cost in money. This would cost 2, but when you get it on all the pipes, you get to move on the fire track. The very last one, you get to move 2 spaces on the fire track. It costs 6 money. There is no advantage in end scoring in having more than 1 pipe. However, there is an advantage in having more than 1 tobacco pouch. During game, when you buy this is the victory point. You'll get 2 victory points, cost you 2 money, get 2 victory points at the end of the game. The number of pouches you have increases your score for these. On the other side of the board, here you may either spend 1 rice bale or 1 sandal. It's not both, it's one or the other to get 4 money. Okay. Now earlier you spent money to get sandals and rice bales. Here you can take those sandals and rice bales and get an even bigger amount of money. Over here, you can spend 1 money to get 1 rice bale or to do a build action. Now, we're not going to talk much about build actions, except that there are special cards that are very powerful. This one, if you spend 1 wood and 1 of these gold money, you may build this for 10 points. And there's lots of either wood or wood and kobans to build these things. This gets 28 points. So these can be very powerful. Now, that comes from doing a build action if you have the resources to build the card. Okay. Very special case here. Now over here, we have a seasonal fish market. As explained, we have 4 seasons. These are for the spring season. Now, these cost money and are basically used for end game scoring. Having more than 1 of the same season is not a benefit, but having more of the different seasons is a benefit in end game scoring. So you ideally want to have 1 token from each of the 4 seasons. Now, for example, in this season, if you pay 9 money, you not only get a fish, but you get 7 victory points on the victory point track. So as we move through the seasons, the benefits of different things increases. Now, there are only 2 fish available each season. So these are very, very competitive because everyone would like to have 4 and they would like to have the cheapest ones possible most of the time. However, towards the end of the game, you may very well have lots of money and be able to afford a fish that also gives you victory points. Now, the last case, the very last position before you cross the threshold. And here you place 6 money to get one of these gold monies. Now, these are used for building, but they're also used in the end game, because one of these is worth 3 victory points at the end of the game, while 5 money is only worth 1 victory point. So if you have lots of money at the end of the game, it would be a good idea to stop here so you can exchange some of those monies for a higher victory point token. Now, when you cross the threshold, remember at the beginning of the game you're off the track, but throughout you're always just continuing to move in a circle on this track. When you cross this threshold, all of your shopkeepers get to move up. Okay, so that's a very good. We'll talk about that in a minute, but you don't always get a desirable shop. You may make a mistake and you like it, you think it's going to be useful, but nobody wants to stop there. So because you can't move your shopkeeper, if you stop here and use this, your shopkeeper doesn't move. It's only if other people use your shopkeeper that he moves up. So passing go gets all of your shopkeepers. Everyone on the board gets to move up. So that's very beneficial. Before the first player takes their actual first move, you need to seed the shopkeepers. Now, there's a spring deck, summer deck, autumn deck, and a winter deck. Since we're in spring, January of spring, we use the first deck here. We shuffle it and pick out 4 cards. Now, the cards have a cost of 2, cost of 3, cost of 3, and a cost of 4. Now, before you move, you have the choice of getting 4 money or buying a stall or a shop. Now, you have to have the money to buy it, and you have to have a free shopkeeper to take care of it. Now, if both of those are true and you want to buy a shop, then you would want to think about the cost of it as well as the benefits. Now, the top one you have to consider. Are other people going to want to stop at your shop? Remember, for each movement position along the board, there can be 2 shops that the person can choose from. If you're the only shop there, you're likely to have a lot of people want to do business with you, which means that every time someone else does business with you, your shopkeeper gets more experience. So it's 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, then he comes off the board and you get the benefit on the bottom. So you want to consider here, people get sandals. They also get to move up on the fire track, or rather you get to move up. When you buy this, you get to move up on the fire track. They only get this benefit. If you bought this one, you get to move up on the fire track, and they spend 2 money to get 2 sandals. just like the #1 movement position on the Nihonbashi. However, every time they use it, you get a point. And if you completely retire this, you get 3 points at the end game and, of course, at the end of every season. This one, they would pay 1 money to get wood. Now, if one of the other players, or if you are going for the build, those extra buildings, you need a lot of wood. So this might be very valuable. And of course, this one you also get a fire movement. And this one's worth points, both in game and at the end of each season. This one, if you don't get any movement on the fire track, but if you pay 2 money, you get 2 rice. And of course, having enough rice to pay your workers is very important. And it's also used for bartering for other kinds of things. And of course, here you get 2 money, 3 money, and 3 money. Now, let's say that because these first 2 are cheap, I'm not going to explain that because these is a special benefit. So there's a list of special benefits. We always have to check the booklet to find out what they are because they don't always come up. Anyway, let's say these 2 were picked, bought, and put onto the board. And then everyone's had their turn. So we move up 1 space to the next round. Now, these 2 cards weren't picked. So to make them more desirable, we're going to put 1 money on each of those. So instead of paying 3 money, you would get 1 money. You could use this to pay for it and take 2 money out of your treasure chest. Okay. And then, of course, you would pick 4 more cards and put those 4 cards down. In the next round, let's say everybody bought something. 1 person bought this, 1 person bought this, 1 person bought this, and 1 person bought this. Now you have 2 cards that were not used. Okay, so when we move up to season, or to the 3rd month, this one gets 1 more, and this one gets 1 more. Now, you never put more than 2 tokens or money tokens on a card. Okay, so you can only get a discount of 2 money in purchasing it. Now here, this one has 1 money on it, so it's actually free. It only costs 1 money, and you get 1 money, so it'd be a free one. Okay. Now, and then you get 4 more cards. 4 more cards come out. Now, at the end of that season, you have to feed your workers. You get all the benefits that happen at the end of the season. When we go to a new season, all of the previous season's cards get trashed. Everything goes away. And then we start with 4 cards of the new season. Okay. Now, some of these cards are still relatively cheap. This one's a 1. But they're more expensive cards as you go up. Okay. So you only can have 4 shops on the board if you have 4 players. That would fill up all of the spaces on the board. Okay. However, they are expensive. They can be expensive. So there's usually some empty spots. Okay. And of course, that works the same. So at the end of the season, these would all get pulled and you'd start the new season with cards. At the end of the game, you have to add up your special bonuses. Now, the first one has to do with occupation card types. Now, there are different colors for the different occupations. If you only have one color, you only get 1 point. If you have 2 colors, you would get 4 points. If you have 3 colors, you get 9 points. If you have 4 colors, 16 points. If you have all 5 colors, you would get 25 points. So the benefits to the shoppers, the benefits to you are important, but you also want to have a wide variety of types in order to get these endgame bonuses. Now, fish, I mentioned, very important. If you only have 1 season of fish, you would get 3 points. 2 seasons, 6 points. 3 different seasons, 10 points. If you have all 4 seasons, you get 15 points. And then, of course, there are points on, oh, that's a different thing, but there are points on the fish. So there are points on the fish as well. Now, tobacco pouches. The tobacco pouches have points on them. Now, if you also have a pipe, in order to make use of that tobacco in the tobacco pouches, then that doubles. Double the number on the pipe. Okay, so it's very beneficial. Having more than one pipe doesn't give you any extra benefit. Now, if you built something using construction card, you would add those points. Not really an in-game thing, but then converting resources to points. The koban, which was this, the gold money, worth 3 points. If you have any extra wood, it's worth 1 point. Money, for every 5 money, you get 1 point. Rice and sandals doesn't make any difference in endgame, so you would want to convert those at some point close to the end of the year. Okay? Now, that's it for my explanation of the rules to Icky. There are a few little other things, but we're not going to talk about those in this video. Today's game has been Icky, a game of Edo Artisans. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.